Hi, and thank you for joining me for today's process video. And today I'm documenting some photos of our trip from New York, Manhattan over to Roosevelt Island. We just went on New Year's Eve actually for the day. The tram stop was pretty close to our hotel, and it was somewhere that I'd meant to go the last couple of times we've been and didn't quite make it. And it was a beautiful sunny day, so we decided to go on New Year's Eve. So you can see I've just grabbed this stencil. I think it's from Bold and Bright from Vicki Boutin, and I'm just blending through with my weathered wood ink. It's just a nice blue tone grey, just to create a nice background for the photos. I've got one photo of the tram printed in 4x6, and then I've got two photos of the bridge and James and Amelia outside the Roosevelt Island, the RI outside the tram station, printed in 3x4. So the two 3x4s will go at the bottom of the page, and then the 4x6 is going to go in the top left. Once again, I'm going to be using Vicki Boutin's Where To Next collection. I just really like the colours in this collection. I wanted to bring in the blues and the I brought in pinks actually this time to go with the colours of the buildings and things around in the photos. So you can see this stencil's brilliant for matching up. You can just move it across your page and match up the previous diamonds because it's a continual pattern to blend the ink further across the page. And I'm making sure to remember that I will be adding layers to my photo. So it is going to grow in size. So I want to make sure that the ink comes out plenty wide and deep enough to still show once I've finished messing around. So I'm trying to learn. So once that's all down, I'm just going to come in with some gold watercolour splatters just to create this background. And then when they're down, I'm going to come in with the Hey Little Magpie script stamp. I'm using the middle script piece and my black soot ink. And initially I thought I was going to do second and third generation stamping, but in the end I got bored of that and just went in with first generation. This ink pad isn't terribly juicy, so it doesn't go down too dark. And you can see I'm just rolling up the stamp just to get little bits of that text onto the background. It's again just creating a little bit of interest so that it's not all a blocky background there. So almost there. I didn't want to add too much, but it just adds a little bit of interest. As I say, most of it's going to be covered up, so I'm not too concerned about how it's looking. I just wanted it to be fairly straight across the page. And then I've got my 4x6 photo, and once again I'm roughing up the edges using my Tim Holtz edge distresser. I'm really enjoying this technique at the moment. I'm sure I'll get bored of it soon, but at the moment I like the look it gives to the photos. So I pulled out this scrap of cloudy paper, and I'm just going to use that as my first mat behind my photo. And then when that's trimmed out, I'm just using my scissors for ease. I pull out a scrap of navy and just add that down the left hand side where that cloud paper didn't quite reach over to. And again, I'll just distress the edges of that, distress the edges of the cloud paper, and get that stuck down. So it was our last full day in Manhattan, and as I say, we went over to Roosevelt Island on the tram, and I'm so pleased when we did. We popped into Tiffany's to pick something up on the way through, and then we went there, and there were no queues. We got on the next tram that came over. There were two cable cars that go across the island. But coming back, when we arrived back on Manhattan, we were shocked by the queues that there were waiting to go over. So it was as well that we got up relatively early and went there. I think we were still on UK time, so our body clocks were telling us to get up early but also go to bed early. So that worked out quite well as tourists. So you can see I just added this pink matte paper to the background as another layer. This is from the paper pad. I don't think it's available in the open stock, but it's a really nice solid tone on tone. It's got that lovely sunburst on the back. So just use that as another mat. And now I'm going to work on this bottom. So for this, I pulled out a load of papery pieces that I'm going to use as my mats for these two photos to sit on. And the way I position them, in actual fact, it looks like the bridge is a continuation of itself. It's a picture of the bridge and then a picture of the kids with the RI, but it looks like I've taken two photos and stuck them together to create one continual line. So once again, just distressing those edges and then getting those stuck down onto those two. It's a yellow tag and this blue one. I really like that blue piece because it's got the camera icon at the bottom, so I was trying to keep that showing and trying to hide the aeroplane on the yellow one. So I ended up bringing the blue piece on top to hide the aeroplane. and just stagger those two photos, and look, you can see when I stick this down that the bridge more or less continues right the way along. There we go. So I'll get this stuck down and then I can continue to embellish. And my idea is to have a load of tickets and things sticking out of the top where that yellow tag is, and I will add some thread through. So I've also pulled out one of the tags from one of the cut apart papers to add to that pile as well. I'd also seen this envelope, the pink envelope in the papery pack, along with this ticket that says City Tour. So I thought I would add that to the left-hand side here, just to fill in some space. It's quite a busy layout, this one, but it works. I was really pleased with it in the end. So just sticking that on top. Look, I nearly stuck it upside down. I was so worried about getting it straight. I wasn't even looking at the actual photo. I do worry about myself sometimes. But I caught it in time, turned it round, and then used my T-square just to make sure that that was in place. Then I remembered I had this other big papery piece, another tag that I wanted to tuck in, but I'd already stuck those first layers down, so I just cut the bottom off. I'll be able to use that on a future layout. And I added that behind. And then, as I say, that pink one is from one of the cut-apart papers. I forget now whether it was the 6x8 or the 12x12 paper. I'd cut them out previously and just put them in my embellishments envelope. So just trying to work out what to add to that little envelope there. I've got one of my compass die cuts from Hey Little Magpie dies, but it doesn't work out in the end. It's just too big with all the other big elements I've got on this page. It didn't work. But this bus pass ticket is quite a nice one. It's got the black border at the bottom as well. So I end up cutting that in half and using the bottom half tucked in amongst the other layers that I've got going on here. So just building up layers with the various pieces from the papery pack. I've got that lovely, it's like a postcard piece with a stamp on it with the blue, and then this green one, which is just another ticket. You can barely see what they are when they're all layered up like this, but I do like the way they look. So just sticking that bus pass piece down, and it's in a minute I'll spot that I can use the other half next to this tag. I'm just roughing up the edges of that tag because that's a thicker paper. The other pieces are papery and it's a bit too thin to worry about distressing the edges. So here's that other piece. I'm just going to tuck it in down here. There we go. So we'll add some string to that in due course. I'm just moving up to the top now because I pulled out this lovely piece. I think this was from an ephemera pack because it's definitely a cardstock weight rather than papery weight. But it just adds another layer up there, and then I'm going to bring in one of my EK Success tabs shortly to add to that. I found this strip that says a collection of moments, and I thought that would work nicely across that envelope at the bottom, so I'm going to add that down there. Just trimming off the ends. It had some black blank space at the ends, so I decided to trim that off just so that it fitted more neatly where I wanted to put it, and then using my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to get that glued down. So I wanted to use this, it's a washi tape sticker, and it's like one of those stickers you get at the delicatessen when you want to buy your fresh meat. Certainly in the UK, we used to have those. You'd take a ticket and then wait till your number was called. But I tried it at the bottom there to the left of the photos, and then I do put it at the top here, but you'll see in the final pictures that I did actually take it off. I just didn't like the look of it there, so I did move it in the end. And the same with this circular piece. I thought it was going to work at the bottom between the two photos, but when I looked at the layout when it was done after I finished filming, I just thought it's superfluous. It just doesn't look right there. It just looks like it's just been added on. I didn't layer anything else up to make it more cohesive. So again, this morning before taking the final photos, I actually trimmed that off. Well, pulled it off along with that green ticket, and I'm much happier with the layout. You'll see in the final shots at the end of the video. So still trying with that compass piece a little bit, but it definitely wasn't working. But these, what are they called? Geotags are cut from the Hey Little Magpie dies again. We've got a little travel set, and they look really nice on that envelope at the bottom. They were just cut from some 49er market paper. I had them in my pre-cut die cuts, and I thought that would work. And then just bringing in that butterfly to bring the same colour up through the page, and it sort of creates a diagonal up to the right hand corner where the title is going to sit. Now on this wordy paper I spotted this phrase that says the journey, and I've just realised it's not on the layout, so I must have lost it at some stage and it didn't make it to the final layout. But there is a washi sticker that I add that says the journey, so all is not lost. I wonder where that went. Can't see it on my desk. So adding a little ribbon loop here. This is ribbon that I got from some flowers that I got from my aunt and uncle as a thank you for Christmas. So I just kept hold of that and I'm using it on this layout. So it's nice to use those little bits and pieces that you get, all the memories that you have of them. And then that little gingham heart is one of the bits and pieces that we sell at Hey Little Magpie. And this seagull is a JD 3D print seagull that I just wanted to add as a different texture on top of all these layers here. So just gluing that down with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and then coming in with some twine just from my stash to thread through this yellow tag, and then it goes through that other tag, and then I'm just going to leave it to sort of trawl down over the left hand side. I will add some little glue dots just to keep that in place. But just leave those ends dangling. Just trying to pull them apart a bit. It's like an embroidery floss, this, or like a very thin crochet thread. So different from the wax twine, it behaves differently. It's a lot more floppy. So just trying to work out how to add that. But because it hasn't got the wax resist, it's much easier to glue down in place. Pros and cons for everything, aren't there? So just tucking that under, just want to add one more dot of glue here. And that's how that's going to sit. And then this is that washi sticker that I mentioned that says the journey. I just wanted that next to the cable car because that obviously that's how we got across to Roosevelt Island. So just adding that down there. And then I'm going to pull in some Heidi Swap thickers. These ones, they're beautiful blue ombre, blue to white ombre. And I'm going to spell out Roosevelt Island going on the right hand side of that photo. So I start with the island because I want to make sure that that fits in with all that string and everything else that's at the bottom there. And then I will use my T-square ruler just to check that I've got this straight. So I'll go across the top of the letters to check that it is straight, and then use that again to spell out Roosevelt. So I put the R in and then realise I really should check that everything's in place, and then this is where I keep it on the top of the letters and butt the letters up to that ruler. So there we go, that's the title. And now I'm going to come in with my journaling underneath the photo here. I don't want to put loads, but I just want to mention what it was and where we went. So there we go, there's my journaling. And then I'm just looking through the 6x12 stickers. Look at how many of those I've used. I'm pretty impressed at that sticker sheet. It's nearly done. And I just found this Discover New Places, which I'm going to add to that envelope at the bottom. And then I want to add the date to that tab that I added to the top. Like I say, that was just punched from my EK Success tab punch in craft cardstock. And I tend to do that on most of my layouts just so that I can find the date easily when I'm looking through my album. And that's the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. You'll see in these still shots that I took that green ticket and the green circle off, and I'm much happier with it as it is. Thanks again. See you soon. Bye.